I went for a long time as a very angry person, very destructive behavior. I was physically abusive to people, emotionally abusive to my family, which led to a lot of use of alcohol, later on drugs. And the weird part was I was actually a policeman for part of that time. And what happened was the years of wear and tear on my marriage and my first wife and my children ended up taking its toll, where once I got a little older and began to realize that it was time to fix things, it was too late. The words were done, the damage was done, and the marriage was beyond repair. So when my first wife left me for another man, that hurt my pride, for one. My two sons were taken away and down to North Carolina, and where they still live to this day. And by the way, they don't speak to me to this day. And that was probably 16, 17 years ago. That's been something I've had a lot of problems with emotionally, and it's something I think about every day of my life. But after we split up, I turned to a different lifestyle. It was a lifestyle of a lot of drinking, a lot of drug use. Cocaine was my drug of choice, and that went on for a couple of years. I met the lady who I'm married to now. Actually, I say we have the perfect marriage. She was a barmaid and I was a drunk. We fit very well. I suppose something was starting to change. I was getting older. I started realizing the continued drinking. My wife Kathy had moved out of Baltimore City and was seeking a better life for herself, away from that type of living, and our marriage started to suffer. We had a daughter. She had a stepson. I have a stepson, her son. We had a daughter together, and I could see the same thing beginning to happen. The anger was in me. I didn't really know where it come from. I just knew that I would fly off the handle. Just any little thing. It didn't really take anything. Of course, the alcohol, which I had under control, I could quit any time I wanted, and the cocaine that I would sneak behind her back, that I could stop doing any time I wanted. I thought they were taking a toll, and I had seen where she wasn't going to live that way. Well, it just so happened that one of my best friends I've known all my life had invited us to a retreat, a Christian retreat, So we decided we would go. We had blew them off like 3 times, and we decided we would go. And I told her, I said, we'll just go up and spend Friday night, and we'll get 12 beers on the way home, and this all be just over with. But something happened that weekend, and I got to hear about hope in a Savior who had died for me. And long story short, I accepted Christ that weekend, and Christ took a lot of things from me that weekend, and I knew I was saved. I actually felt the presence of Christ come touch me as I asked Him to. My wife, however, was not at that point as head over heels about Christianity as I was. I had a honeymoon thing going on with Jesus, and I was very happy, and I felt like I'd finally been released. And that went on for a while. My wife, eventually we joined the church and started going regularly, and things changed. Our marriage got better, but it wasn't healed. I was saved, I believe, but I wasn't healed. The anger was still there. The hostility was still there. I didn't really understand why. And as we ventured farther into our faith, I was led to a place of healing. And through that, through love, people showed me, because of the love that they knew, I was brought to a place where I could identify the anger. And what had happened, I'd been, I guess, living a lie for a long time. Back when I was a young child, I was sexually abused quite a lot by older men, family members. And I guess I had made my mind up that nobody was ever going to do anything to me that I didn't want it to be done to me again. I wanted control of my life. And if that meant hurting people, if that meant fighting, if that meant divorces, I was in control of my life. And this anger cost me dearly, a lot. And I had lived in this thought in my mind of what I had done to make this happen. What was my part? I had questioned whether I was even a homosexual or not, because I was very confused. How could I have, as a boy, as a man, and you always see yourself as a man, even if you're a small teenager or whatever. How could I have let this happen? I permitted this to happen, and I carried this shame and guilt. And it wasn't until I heard a pastor speak at a function one time, and he had shared that the same thing had happened to him, and he told me that what happened to you wasn't your fault. You didn't make it happen. And I believed him for the first time. I believed that it wasn't. I didn't make it happen. It happened, and there was nothing I probably could have done to change it.